Welcome our dear viewers to this edition of our program Africa Today. In today's edition we are going to talk about the visit by the Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi to Cairo. President Felix Tshisekedi was in Cairo during the weekend after a visit to Sudan, where he held talks with Sudanese officials on the decade-long Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. More details in the following story.
Cairo said it would not accept a compromise of its water security over ongoing GERD dispute. The statement was made during a visit by Democratic Republic of the Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi to Cairo amid ongoing efforts to revive negotiations on the dam with Sudan and Ethiopia. Sisi affirmed his appreciation of efforts by Congo, which is the current head of the African Union, and confidence in dealing with the issue. He voiced his keenness on backing the efforts under a negotiation mechanism sponsored by the DRC, with the participation of international partners to reach a legally binding deal. Congo's Tshisekedi stressed keenness on intensifying coordination in this critical issue to help all parties achieve progress in related trilateral talks, praising vast efforts by Cairo to reach a well-balanced and fair agreement on the dam that takes into account the interest of the three countries. Tshisekedi arrived to Cairo from Sudan after talks with Sudanese officials on the decade-long dam crisis. The talks were also about bilateral ties and regional developments of common interests. Tshisekedi also met with Sudanese Foreign Minister Mariam El-Sadiq Al-Mahdi, who said that the Congolese president proposed an initiative on the dam as the current chair of the AU.
And to shed more light about the visit by the Congolese president to Egypt, we are very much delighted to have with us over the phone Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Bayoumi, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Ambassador Bayoumi, how do you weigh the timing of the visit by the Congolese president to Egypt?
It is always important, and we have long history with Congo during its fight to celebrate its independence.
Yeah.
During the time of Gamal Abdel Nasser, who helped most of the countries in Africa to have their independence. And since then, we have close relations, and we are helping Congo by expertise. The Egyptian Fund for Development in Africa, now we have more and more attendance in order to restore the diplomacy, the presidency diplomacy. Of course, we have ambassadors everywhere. Our ministers are going to Africa every now and then, but we lack the what we call the diplomacy of the airports of the summit level. So, thanks to our president, since he took place, he's going to many places in Africa. He's receiving his brothers in Cairo. And this is one more step towards more and more close relations with the whole African continent. And Congo is a big country, it's not a small country, and it has, of course, its impact and its effect on others. So this is a time to start a serious dialogue about the African interest and the African files. Of course, above all, our file concerning the Blue River Nile. And I think as much as we can bring brothers from Africa to convince our Ethiopian brothers that things should be softer than what they are doing. Because technically, if you study the problem quite well, you will not see any technical problem. The problem is political, and we have to bring them to a negotiation table. And here we are using one African eminent president. We are using the presidency of the African Union. We are using the efforts of the United States, European Union, whoever can give a good word in order to bring together Egypt and Ethiopia and Sudan in order to get a solution for this very complicated question.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Ambassador, How possible it is actually to reach a settlement to differences before the second filling of the dam begins?
I think that Egypt is doing the right policy.
Yes.
Take a long breeze, wait and see. I think that we are not in a hurry.
Yes.
At the end of the day, a solution will be reached. Because you cannot stop the water of a huge river Nile, like the
Yes.
Blue River Nile. So by today, by 1 month later or 3 months later, the water will come. But the threat is that they are delaying the flow of water, and this, of course, affects our farmers here and there.
Yes.
And we are not keen to see problems in that sort. The most important solution and the most reachable solution is take a long breeze, use your diplomacy, because I see that many Egyptians and many of our friends are still a little bit nervous, and they want to take huge or tough actions. This is a long way you have to take it.
Yes.
We have to prove that Egypt is the largest country in Africa,
Indeed.
and it will continue as a good help and good neighbor for all the African countries.
Indeed. Sir, the Sudanese foreign minister said that during the talks with the Congolese president, he proposed an initiative actually to settle the dispute, but he gave no further details. What details do you expect should be included in the initiative, and why it has not been made public yet?
Maybe it's still in the kitchen.
Yes.
That's why we don't know the details, because the initiator himself, he doesn't know the details. He is talking here and there, and at the end we shall know, of course, what's going on. But I smell that they are trying to find a sort of short time solution for 1 or 2 years. Then we talk further on when we have much more time to discuss all the details. This
Yes.
is the Congolese initiative,
Yes.
in my opinion, to have a solution for a short period. Then we talk about the long time solution.
Yes. Mr. Ambassador, how do you expect Ethiopia to respond to the ongoing efforts to reach a binding agreement?
Not very soon. I think Ethiopia still has some time to go with its stubbornness, because Ethiopia, as long as we see there are problems, internal problems in Ethiopia, it reflects also in its attitude towards the external problem.
Yes.
So we have to expect this, have a long breathe, have all the patience we can give, then we shall reach, inshallah, to a suitable solution.
Yes. President Sisi said that Egypt would not accept actually any compromises on its water security. How do you read this statement by the president?
This is very important. This is the deadline, that we have a red tape about the water. Don't touch our water, then everything can be discussed.
Yes.
And I think our president is very firm about this matter, and I think it's a message to Ethiopia, and much more important, it is a message to all of us as Egyptians to be sure that our leadership is really in action and in full command of the file. So let us not exaggerate about the reaction, and to have all the time until our leader can reach a solution.
Indeed. Mr. Ambassador, from your point of view, what options are still open for Cairo over Egypt's water security?
We use the direct and what we call the bilateral negotiations, Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia. Then we asked the African Union to intervene. Then we asked the United States and the World Bank. And still, we didn't reach a solution. So we can ask other regional or bilateral or international institutions to come and to give a word to the Ethiopian leadership.
Yeah.
We can go to the Security Council. Still, we have a long road to go until we solve this problem. So It is a matter of who can have enough patience in order to deal with such a matter.
Yeah. Mr. Ambassador, back to the visit by the Congolese president. Actually, the presidential spokesman, Ambassador Bassam Radi, said that President Sisi welcomed the president and praised the historical relations between both countries and Egypt keenness to boost joint cooperation in all fields. How do you evaluate here the relation between Egypt and the DRC?
This is very important. This is very important that Egypt is keen to help our brother all over the continent.
Yes,
don't forget that we are Africans ourselves, that 11 Arab countries are African. Even the Saudis, the Emirates, are helping in Africa. The Islamic Bank for Development is helping in Africa with billions in dollars. All this would be a good support to very healthy relations among the African continents, the African countries, and Egypt is among them. So I think that we are on the right track concerning this. Al-Azhar al-Sharif is hosting thousands of students from everywhere, from Congo, from everywhere in Africa, and it's a beautiful job. If you visit any African country, you'll find them either proud that they were educated in Al-Azhar or some universities, or they were trained in Egypt, in our military institutes, and so on. So we have many ways and means to help our African brothers. Now we are using investment and trade also. And the good news is that our trade with Africa is increased 3 times in the last 10 years, thanks to our COMESA agreement. And I am waiting for more and more increase in trade exchange because of the new Pan-African Free Trade Area. It will help also. So we have many ways and means in order to strengthen the relations between the African countries themselves and between Egypt and every individual African country.
Indeed. And finally, Mr. Ambassador, indeed, the president of the DRC, Mr. Tshisekedi, is the head of the African Union at the moment. So to what extent here that is representing great cooperation between Egypt and the African Union as well, to boost cooperation between the different African nations and for Egypt to play a more pivotal role and to continue its leading role in the African continent?
We have all the interest to make the African Union a successful organization.
Indeed.
Because we are one of the initiators of the process.
Indeed.
And I want to underline that when they were trying to find where to put the African Union, Cairo was the first choice.
Yes.
And Gamal Abdel Nasser refused. He wanted the African Union to be in the middle of the continent. And he supported Addis Ababa as a host for the Union. So I think that we must say this to the Ethiopians to understand how much Egypt is keen to have the best relation among the countries of the continent, and we shall continue this attitude because we are in the middle of it. We think that it deserves all our efforts.
Indeed, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Always a pleasure to listen to your precious input, sir. Thank you very much for being our guest for today. And Cairo presented to the U.S. Special Envoy for Horn of Africa the negotiation pathway on the Ethiopian dam over the past decade. This came during the talks held in Cairo at the weekend. More details with Samah al-Sharif.
A meeting was held in Cairo on Wednesday between visiting U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Jeffrey Feltman, and accompanying delegation and the Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Irrigation to discuss the developments of negotiations on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Both sides also reportedly held consultations over ways to make the ongoing efforts succeed in reaching a legally binding agreement on the filling and operation of the Ethiopian dam. The Egyptian side presented the pathway of negotiations over the past decade since Ethiopia began building the dam without consultations with the downstream countries, Egypt and Sudan. The Egyptian side stipulated that the negotiations failed because of Ethiopia's intransigence and its rejection to all technical proposals on the rules regulating the operation and filling of the dam. They noted that international mediators participated in the preparation of those proposals, including the agreement that was brokered by the United States late in 2019 and early in 2020, but was not sealed as Ethiopia did not attend the signing meeting.
Cairo said it supports the Afreximbank's efforts to provide the coronavirus vaccines for the African countries. It said the efforts will also contribute to pushing the economic growth forward and to enhance the African intra-trade.
The Ministry of Finance said Cairo supports the efforts made by the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, to extend concessional facilities to African countries to enable them to acquire COVID-19 vaccines. Mait made his comments during a meeting held on Thursday with President of the Afreximbank, Benedict Orama. Mait said these efforts will back the African economies amid the ongoing crisis, attain their growth, and push the African Free Trade Zone steps forward. Mait is also the chairman of the Afreximbank's General Assembly. Cairo said it is keen on supporting the efforts of Afreximbank, being the largest commercial corporation in Africa that aims to manage the health, economic, and fiscal shocks resulting from epidemics and maintain the economic stability of African countries. The efforts will also contribute to pushing the economic growth forward and enhance African intra-trade, according to Mait.
Well, with that, our viewers, we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Hope you have enjoyed it. Until we meet again, I'm Rabia signing off. Thank you for watching.